And here in the studio is David Mencer, former director of the Labour Friends of Israel, an organisation that about perhaps a shadow of its former self now that the far left has taken over the Labour Party. Really a shocking read, that submission from the Jewish Labour movement about what's going on in the party.
A shocking read, and of course a shocking week for the Labour Party and this issue. We've had three major occurrences, I think, things to talk about in this week. Number one is the actual manifesto commitment from the Labour Party that they would independently review the EHRC, this sort of non-too-subtle threat that the Labour Party being investigated by the EHRC, but also that the party said that they will review and make sure it's independent.
Sounds rather like Netanyahu calling to investigate the investigators over here.
And number two, of course, this minorities video which came out from the Labour Party, including every single minority that the Labour Party said they would defend their rights. But conspicuous by its absence, of course, was the Jewish community. No mention whatsoever, despite this issue of anti-Semitism being right in the centre of Britain's of the election
Difficult
campaign.
to know whether the fact that that omission was accidental or intentional is worse.
Yeah, no, but that would certainly be the excuse of Jeremy Corbyn, that this was accidental, he didn't mean it, and all this sort of nonsense. But I think that sort of paper-thin veneer of excuses is to be wiped away. And of course, the leak itself, which was an absolute bombshell. My favourite part of the leak, if you can say this, a very distressing read. But
and really, let's remind viewers, this is online. If they search for JLM anti-Semitism leak, it really just an extraordinary read. Anyone can access it. It's freely available.
But instructions from the leader's office that all investigators into anti-Semitism inside the Labour Party should not transfer any information to the leader's office by email, but they should use their own private email addresses and, of course, not send it by email at all, but deliver the evidence on USB sticks.
The reasoning being?
The reasoning being that in case of an investigation, as has come to pass, then the sort of evidence that would put on USB sticks would not be traceable, or by private email address, but also not be traceable. The irony, of course, sprung to my mind. The USB stick, of course, an Israeli invention, invented here. Of course, could it be that the humble USB stick invented here in Israel could be the undoing of Jeremy Corbyn? Let's wait and see.
Well, can it indeed? Because next Thursday, Britain is going to the polls. The question on many people's lips, any chances that Jeremy Corbyn could emerge as Prime Minister at the end of it?
The current polls, as you say, are showing that Boris Johnson is en route for a victory. But of course, we were in exactly the same position in 2017 with Theresa May. The polls are now closing. The gap is getting much, much thinner. Tories are extremely nervous. I was in London yesterday. They told me that they are extremely nervous, which is why they're putting everything they can to try and win this majority for the Conservatives. They're extremely nervous right now, with good reason, I think.
David Mencer, truly extraordinary times. 87% of the British Jewish community, according to polls, saying that Jeremy Corbyn is an anti-Semite. It's difficult to get them to agree on anything else. David Mencer, thank you very much for joining us here.